Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, should you continue to hold space for this person and this connection, or is it time to let them go? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Carnelian. Along with this card, which says Stars, a long journey brings rewards. Group 2 is the Howlite. Along with this card, which says the Knight, triumph over adversity. And group 3 is the blue Calcite. Along with this card, which says the key, locked doors can now be opened. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the cards and the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Carnelian, along with the Stars, a long journey brings rewards card. So just to channel some quick introductory energies coming from this card, this may be a relationship that you have been in a very long process with one another. Maybe you have been waiting for this person to return, to step up to the plate. It's been an extended no contact period where at this point in time, you're just kind of relying on your intuition, on signs, maybe information that comes through in tarot readings, that you're watching pick-a-card readings, for example, but that there's been very little evidence of action on their part in quite some time. It just feels to be getting more and more distant on the horizon. There's almost an energy here of feeling that this may be a circumstance of like star-crossed lovers, that it is both a destined connection, feeling very drawn to them at the soul level. Maybe even kind of like a past life soulmate connection here, but that for every sort of inch you progress forward with one another, or every indicator that you get that maybe this person's ready to finally level up, to return back to you, to be able to offer some kind of long-term commitment or stability, it's almost like every step of progression, there's a regression by 3 or 4 steps. You get closer to this point of victory only to sort of backslide, or other things come up, other things come in the way. And so kind of this long-term sort of frustration here as far as what way to go. A future that had at one point in time had been mapped out, or that you felt was a very clear-cut or obvious or evident sort of path for the two of you. And at this point in time, it's just, again, sort of like scattered signs and indicators, a sense of kind of wishing upon a star, waiting for this person to wake up, to recognize who you are, to really own up to their role in this connection. And kind of time keeps passing, you know, the world turns, and the constellations in the sky remain very fixed and very much the same in terms of whatever their approach or energy has been up to this point in time. There's been very little movement, very little action on their part in the material world, in the material sense. So that being said, let's get into the messages from Spirit as far as if you should continue to hold some space, hold out hope for this person to come back around, to reach out, or if it's time to start releasing the idea of this connection, start letting this connection go. So we have the Three of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Knight of Swords, more air energy. And the Chariot, which is Cancer. So with this Three of Swords, the card of heartbreak and disappointment in conjunction with the Knight of Swords, there's an indicator here that you almost intuitively know the answer, that it may be the heartbreak, kind of the disappointment. It's just a repeating sort of cycle and series of that you may feel that you're the only one sort of investing in or still kind of applying this energy of emotion and thought and intention to this connection, where the nature of the signs you may actually be getting, to tie it back in with this idea of the stars and kind of these energies of divinations or omens that you may have been getting, these little clues or indicators. It feels that there already may be this wave of momentum or things that have been pointing in the direction for quite some time, that it may be time to release and relinquish the way in which you are holding and embodying this connection. That it almost feels to be something that it's moved to the brink where, rather than holding space, there's a part of you that is almost holding in a very fixed reality to kind of the pain and the disappointment of an expectation of things turning around, of this person with the idea of the Chariot moving towards you, crossing the distance, crossing the divide. Maybe, this distance that would need to be crossed is time itself, or some kind of geographic location and distance that, things keep changing but around you, but what remains the same is kind of where you're holding that space. It's kind of moved into this, like a toxicity of heartbreak. It's gone beyond a necessary grieving point. It's gone beyond a necessary period of time where, you were holding out hope for that opportunity, that maybe they would see the light, maybe they would come back around. And it almost feels to be something that to continue to sort of hold this connection, or the hope of what may or may not occur in the future in this connection, in the same way that you have, approaching it in the same way. Some kind of pattern or belief system surrounding it, maybe your perception of who this person is to you. You may consider them a counterpart, kind of the yin to your yang, and they are not really matching up to a resonant frequency with kind of who you're being called to be in other ways. Like your spiritual journey, your healing and evolution journey may be taking you or calling you in other directions, but you're almost kind of denying yourself the ability to really embark on that journey by staying very fixed and stuck in place, almost at a crossroads point of where roads deviated between the two of you. And so the indicator is that you have this knowledge that it may be necessary to depart from this connection, to reframe your way in which you are holding this, in which you are viewing this. Even if you consider this person to be your counterpart, your person, there's a need for movement on your part. There's a need for an evolution in perspective, an evolution of thought, an evolution in where your attention is directed. And it feels like if anything is going to get this circumstance changing, is going to really send that energetic message to this person that they need to wake up, or that this opportunity is going to slip through their hands, slip through their fingers unless they do something. You're the one who's really in control of that. And so with that notion of control, to continue to embody or kind of house this energy, or be the one sort of harboring a lot of this heartbreak, it almost feels where there's kind of a misinterpretation or a misunderstanding of what you may be considering as I'm holding space for them. And what it is you're kind of nursing or coddling a lot of this heartbreak within, a lot of the dissonance within. You may be picking up on a lot of resistance from their part and just sort of sheltering that deep within, which is keeping you very fixed in place. It's keeping you from evolving further on your own personal healing journey, your own spiritual journey. And it's in a way kind of the active process of holding space for this person is in fact limiting the possibility of true movement, true evolution in terms of the two of you as dynamic and unique individuals. So let me get some oracle cards to dive a little bit deeper into this. Okay, so we have moving on, and sacrifice. So this idea of moving on is definitely confirming these kind of introductory energies here, that to continue to hold the belief about this connection, or the way in which you've been approaching the energies of this situation, even ideas that you have tied or tethered to this person and kind of who they are to you, who they represent to you, and therefore that reflects or mirrors in some way a perception of who you are to yourself, that to continue to sort of remain in the same stance or the same relationship with this energy, or with the idea of this person, returning towards you or taking steps to evolve the connection to the next level, that you are sacrificing wish fulfillment for yourself in other ways. This can be other romantic partners that are in more of a place of balance within themselves to kind of meet you where you are, provide you what you are looking for in terms of partnership, in terms of reciprocity. This, though, can also tie into sacrificing the opportunity to take further steps along your own personal soul journey in this lifetime. Other things that you are really being called to accomplish or to endeavor or to work through. Some part of your personal healing journey that may tie into aligning with some kind of bigger purpose or mission. Maybe you already have indicators of that. You've already started to embark upon that path. But it feels like, if that's the case, or if you're just sort of on the precipice of that, or you haven't even necessarily considered that, kind of these bigger picture questions here, that the time and the amount of space, almost like this person living rent-free in your head and in your heart at this particular point in time, it has you at a standstill, in a sense that it's limiting or diluting in some way other possibilities, with kind of this 10 of Cups energy with the rainbow back here in the background, that there's more abundance waiting for you outside of a need to kind of loosen the grip that the energy of this situation has upon you. And again, this feels to be something that it's almost, you may have tried to detach from this person or this concept before and only gotten like a step or two ahead and then kind of regressed, some sort of a sign or an indicator, almost like the way you move forward, you feel something within them energetically, or something turns up in the environment that almost has you kind of sacrificing progress and sort of falling back into old patterns, to where it really has reached the point of there's a stagnancy here, and it feels like you may be the one who is the empowered agent of change in this circumstance and situation. Time keeps passing and this person is just moving in the same direction. There's no motivation or recognition for them to change in conjunction to this connection, because you remain this fixed point in reality. You're still actively holding the space in some manner, or maybe even giving them too much of the benefit of the doubt, kind of sacrificing your own peace of mind and your own well-being for the sense of, I can't close the door to them completely, because what if they come back around? Or sensing and really sharing some of this energetic dissonance with one another, and it may be a compulsion on your part to send them a lot of love, to reach in and try to help them, engaging in a lot of sort of meditations, or trying to connect with their higher self, trying to kind of just give them to the benefit of the doubt. And at this point in time, it's almost like sacrificing your own energetic well-being, to where ultimately it feels like there's wish fulfillment for you in a variety of other ways, and in other kind of landscapes, romantically and otherwise, that are waiting for your arrival. But that this situation now, it's kind of reached the point of it's an anchor that is limiting your further experiences in this human incarnation and in this life, or maybe even bigger work that you're meant to do to evolve. There's a process of healing and detachment that really needs to take place here, that may involve some kind of larger contribution that you may be called to kind of give back to the collective, and to continue to sort of hold on or wait in place, wait at that crossroads intersection, or keep looking to the stars and feeling sort of, is this going to be when they're coming back around? Is this the day when they finally make things right, or the month, or the year, or the decade? For some of you, this may be like you've been holding on to this for a very long time, and so really, at least this introductory guidance is that it's time to start kind of exercising tough love with yourself. And as much as you are taking steps forward, and you can feel that kind of ripple of change perhaps in this person, or there may almost be little distractors or things with all these kind of falling leaves that look sort of like confetti, little things that you get a step beyond this, or you start to expand your mind in another direction, and it almost compels you back. Like, are you sure you want to move forward? Are you sure that's the right thing to do? And this almost feels to be something that, because you've been harboring this in such a fixed energy, that what you're perceiving or maybe even misinterpreting as signs to continue to hold on are in fact, it's the residue of the ripple of change. It's kind of the world, or the way in which you've been holding a certain vibration. It's breaking apart. It's dissipating, and that you may be misconstruing that as kind of like, well, I need to just sort of revert back into place and remain stuck, remain at a standstill. That there's a need to kind of extract or almost break away in a sense, and that it won't necessarily be an easy process. It's going to be tough. It's going to require a lot of discipline. It feels to be something that this is not so easy as just, I do a cord cutting meditation and that's it, or I set that intention and that closes the door. It feels like this is something that is kind of deeply entrenched, regardless of the time that you've been sort of involved in this process of holding space. It's the amount of energy and attention, the amount of kind of your own heart space that this occupies, both in a positive and a negative polarity. Definitely somebody you are, most likely energetically tethered to very deeply at the soul level. Some kind of soul connection here in this situation, to where your efforts to detach and move forward, action steps that you choose to take, if that's the route you want to go, to detach from this situation, there's going to be a pushback there. There's going to be like a jingling in the background from this person, energetically speaking, who has been accustomed, even unconsciously, to kind of that anchoring, that space and time that you continue to hold. You remain this kind of fixed polarity in their history, almost like someone who remains an option or always on the back burner. But it's kind of the encouragement here to be, brave, to really sort of practice and demonstrate to this person, even just energetically speaking, the definition and meaning of unconditional love, which really starts with love for self first and foremost. That this may in some way just be, again, kind of limiting the other possibilities that are available for you in this lifetime, even outside of the realm of romance. It's almost a lot of your energy is being kind of siphoned or misappropriated at this particular point in time, to kind of investing in the possibility of, is this person going to come back? Investing in all of this, I have to kind of heal and continue to interact with this connection, keep this bond intact while they are running, while they're in denial, while they're wrapped up in their own kind of tragedies and traumas. That this is really the time to kind of choose you, and that by taking those steps forward, it's like there's other doors that want to open for you, other things you're really meant to accomplish here, and this may actually be sort of the next step on a bigger part of your soul contract with one another, is kind of letting them go, so that all of that energy you've been holding within, all of that anguish you've been holding within, all that you've been receiving from them, and kind of this confusion, and the idea of energy flows where attention goes. And so in some way they've been on the receiving end of kind of the spoils, the victories of this process, of this battle that you've been fighting within. And it's time to really sort of turn the tables in your favor, is the energy that's kind of coming through here. And it may or may not be something that, this very hard decision, this decision you may have been struggling with for quite some time, to detach from this. It is possible that this is what could pivot this individual on their own process of kind of balancing the light and shadow polarity within. That it's almost like they need to own and feel, not just your physical absence from their life, which they may have been the one to initiate that, but it's almost like they need to perceive and be able to receive your energetic absence from their life. And that key component is almost something which, it's stifling and limiting. It feels like your growth and your evolution potential, and in a certain way their growth and their evolution potential, because you're holding and harnessing and harboring so much of that kind of energy of anguish, or like a standstill at this particular point in time, that it's almost like they're not able to fully or adequately perceive or receive, or be just sort of the one who's processing all this dissonance within, all of this resistance, all of this running within. That in some way, by your involvement in this situation, your continued involvement and participation, even just by sending love or focusing your attention on it, it almost dilutes the quality of what they are able to recognize that they need to deal with and own up to within themselves, that may have been a contributing factor to this situation unraveling before, or is kind of like a long-standing pattern in their life in general, or in terms of love and partnership, something that may be part of a larger sort of soul contract lesson between the two of you. So let me get a couple more oracle cards to close this out, and then I'll get some initials. Okay, so we have Watchtower of the South, Summer. So definitely speaking about, a tower moment. Again, this kind of reinforcing message here that, it is most likely in your best interest. And again, for a lot of you, it feels like this won't come as a surprise. This may just be a confirmation for you of what you've been sort of feeling or leaning into, this understanding, kind of dancing around the idea of this understanding for a while, that you need to kind of be the one to create this tower moment, that this structure of you holding a lot of the weight, doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this situation, it's a strong tower. It is resistant to change because you are the change agent in this circumstance. And so barring your movement forward, nothing changes if nothing changes. And so this is something where it may be a very difficult decision to kind of topple this all down. If you've invested a lot of your heart and soul into this, a lot of your attention, you've really kind of embraced the idea of like, this is my person, this is my twin flame, this is my counterpart, I'm on this particular journey, and this phase is very necessary, and it's drawn out to kind of this place where the bulk of your reality and of your day and of your existence is dealing with and harboring kind of this repetitive series of anguish, or like this anticipation followed by a letdown. It's a need for some way in which you are relating to this energy, in which this person is also relating to this energy, that needs to topple in order for the possibility of growth in another direction for each of you individually, and then ultimately for the possibility of this connection to come into a place of balance, for the page to be turned in a very dramatic and profound way in the future. It requires bringing an end to this circumstance, to how you're dealing with it, to how you're even holding on to this person energetically speaking. And really with the idea of kind of the tower and summertime, it's speaking about sort of the wreckage of walking away from this situation, of beginning that process of detachment, that, you may have to kind of tear this down brick by brick. It might not be so easy to just demolish that and walk away. But on the other side of a process of what may be, this is the next leg of your journey, is kind of detoxing from this, really kind of setting up firm boundaries with yourself as far as, I'm not going to watch pick-a-card readings. I'm not going to go look at their social media. If I thoughts of this person, or I feel their energy comes in, you establish other sort of means and methods to redirect your focus elsewhere. And that over a point in time of kind of dismantling your relationship to this connection, the way that you've been housing this energy, or it has occupied space within your reality, within your energetic body, there will be a blossoming, there will be a blooming, even with the sunflower right here. This act of like creating the tower, creating that demolition, it ultimately serves the highest good of you, and it ultimately serves the highest good of this person, and in what's possible maybe in the future between the two of you. But it's an energy that needs to be very much self-directed, self-focused, action-oriented, stepping into one's confident, masculine, empowered energy that says, I am no longer going to sit here in passivity and play the waiting game. I am going to take action forward. I'm going to take action for me. I'm going to take action that is empowered in the direction of things that make me feel fulfilled and seen and respected and reciprocated with and loved. That it's almost like there's been enough time of you doing all this heavy lifting, and so change is very necessary in this circumstance. allowing yourself that time to really grieve, to really process, to really, you're going to have to rebuild in a lot of ways your relationship with yourself, how, whatever ways this connection or this person has been kind of filling your day, filling your life, filling your reality. There's a lot that's going to need to change. But on the other side of that, on the other side of kind of this, this autumn energy, this kind of falling away, or this dismantling, a winter phase where you're kind of in dormancy, you're in hibernation, you're processing the grief, you're sitting with that kind of empty, that void, that numbness. There will be the growth, kind of the springtime energy, the renewal. You will start to feel better. Your energy levels will increase. Opportunities in a variety of ways will be able to be recognized and received and cultivated by you. And ultimately, that decision to kind of let this go, to start that process of detachment, this is really an indicator that it's leading in the direction of kind of that fullness, that vibrance. As kind of empty, or as frustrating, or as back and forth and pulled in many different directions, or kind of just left waiting, like somebody who's just been left on the back burner, just left hanging. The signs and even things coming in from this person energetically or from their higher self not matching up, not corresponding with 3D actions. And so this isn't the energy of somebody who, you've not been speaking to one another for a week, and it's kind of like, okay, even though time's relative, this feels to be something that's a lot more long term, where this has been kind of an ongoing process, prolonged over the course of like months, a year, years for a lot of you, like something that's it's occupied a substantial chunk of time, that it's going to be a very hard decision. But ultimately, this is something that's kind of, it's in your best interest, it's in your highest good. And something even with these kind of two sunflowers here, that ultimately this is something which serves this individual as well, that they're kind of getting a free lunch out of this circumstance. You're pumping a lot of energy into them, and they need to be able to learn how to self-sustain whatever direction their journey takes them in. If your roads converge again further in the future, this is really the energy of kind of putting yourself first, no longer being willing to kind of sacrifice other opportunities for abundance. Other people you may meet further down the road who are ready, willing, and able to kind of reciprocate the love that you are hoping to experience, not denying yourself the opportunity of stepping more fully into kind of your purpose in this lifetime, or experiencing a greater sense of joy and abundance and positivity than you do at this point, because this can't feel good holding an energy like this for so long, occupying with this kind of perpetual heartbreak, that this is sort of part of the daily routine. And so the messages here really are indicating that there is joy and upliftment that is possible for you in a variety of ways, but it really requires you to renegotiate and cut away and dismantle your current relationship to the energy or to the idea of this person. So I'm going to get some initials for you, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got C, E, Y, X, I, V, N, Q, H, G, W, M, V, E, A, K, D, N, Y, Z, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Howlite, along with this card, which says the Knight, Triumph over Adversity. So to channel some quick introductory energies from this card, this feels to be somebody that you may be in communication with. There's like a back and forth, but maybe you're having a difficult time kind of understanding what their motives are, what their intentions are. This may be somebody who is very logical or kind of surface level with their communication, but they're very hesitant to kind of dive into deep emotional waters. They're hesitant to take the next step. They may be somebody who's very fearful of commitment, fearful of intimacy. This could also be somebody who has run from you. And there's a sense of even a lot of back and forth, like they may kind of come back in, things are good for a little while, then they get very triggered and kind of bolt in the other direction. And so it feels to be the kind of energy where it's almost just, it's like you're harboring some kind of annoyance about this. Like, is this ever going to change? Is this all there is to this person? Is there all there is to this circumstance and situation? Why are they not willing to go deeper? Why are they not willing to kind of take things to the next level? Why are they unwilling or so triggered by emotions? Or maybe somebody has a hard time receiving compliments, or, they almost find themselves kind of having these deep moments of intimacy with you in terms of your interactions, and then the next day, it goes from like hot to cold sort of energy. So let's take a look and see sort of what that guidance is then, if you should continue to hold out space for this person and for this connection to evolve in some manner, for whatever. This may be somebody that has kind of their walls up, their guard up, but there's a sense of a lot of kind of tangible chemistry or passion that is there beneath the surface, but it's just very it's like a hard nut to crack. It's very difficult to get them to show vulnerability or to kind of take that armor off in a certain manner. So let's see if you should hold out space for this person, or if it's time to start to kind of let this go, or distance or detach from this situation. Okay, so we have the Three of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. The World, which is fixed energy, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. And the Empress, which is Taurus and Libra. So there's an indicator here that kind of the back and forth, the conversation, it's a process at this point in time of the two of you really learning and negotiating one another's boundaries. There may be sort of a bigger purpose and process to the stage that you find yourself at this point in time with this individual, with kind of this energy of the yin yang. There's almost, without directly kind of talking about these things, it's almost like you're colliding with one another's sort of contrasting aspects. One of you may be sort of like an overgiver, an oversharer, and the other person has a very hard time kind of opening up and letting love in, cultivating and sustaining closeness. And so it's almost in this particular point that you are at, this doesn't feel to be anything where you've been dealing with this person maybe for a very long-term energy. This isn't like years of back and forth. It may be sort of a relatively new connection, or like a year or two at the most. You've been kind of going through this dance with one another of really sort of like highs and lows in the situation, or going down certain paths only to have to sort of like reroute or re-navigate, and kind of difficulty ultimately kind of making forward progress and evolving. But there's an indicator here that it's a way of getting to know one another very subtly and energetically, because there's a lot of healing that is possible for the two of you through this process of almost learning to sort of temper or measure yourself or adjust your expectations versus kind of meeting someone where they are at. And this feels very reciprocal on both of your sides, to where there's actually growth that is being accomplished, as much as it may not appear so in a material sense, that in the subtle ways there's a foundation that's actively being built, that has been built so far in the nature of your interactions with one another. Maybe it's even just conversing with one another, getting to know one another in kind of a variety of ways. How each of you are when things are going your way, how you are when you don't get your way, when things are not going according to plan. Kind of like a prolonged energy here, it feels like is ultimately serving the long-term possibilities and potential that are available for this person, to where it feels to be something with the Empress. This is like Venusian energy, Venus, the energy of love. We've even got this little heart-shaped pillow here, that there's a lot of tenderness that is available, but you're almost kind of taking the long route to that with this person. And so this is really the energy of continuing to sort of hold space, or almost kind of renegotiate, re-strategize a timeline that you may have perceived, or how you're just kind of holding or understanding this point of like doing a dance with one another. This may be something that it's calling you to be more aggressive, but in kind of a soft way, about your needs and expectations. Like if you've just kind of been allowing this person to call all the shots as far as, things are going really well, they get highly triggered because it's a little too close to comfort, and then they bolt again. This may be something where you're needing to lay down some different groundwork, some different ground rules with this person, to kind of take more of an active role in shifting and using this opportunity as a way to be very kind of firm and forceful, and yet there's also the energy of knowing when to yield, as far as a longer or a more unusual process of building a foundation with one another. That this is not like a lost cause, but it almost just requires all these different kind of hats that you're going to have to wear, that the two of you are going to have to wear, all these different sort of aspects and masks of the two of you that are really needing to be almost encountered or deciphered or sifted through on both of your ends. There's a process of like an internal alchemy that has to take place, that it feels like is currently in the process of unfolding, as much as this may be sort of frustrating or unnerving. It may be for a lot of you that there's not even necessarily anything that's gone wrong. It's just kind of, you think, oh great, we're at the point of there's going to be a breakthrough, there's going to be this closeness here, we're getting ready to take things to the next level, and then it's sort of, the best laid plans kind of fall to the wayside, and they're triggered. You get triggered by something. It's kind of like the two of you pivoting off one another like wind chimes in a sense. But the message here, at least this introductory message, is to not give up just yet on this connection, that there's something more that's kind of taking place. It may be that you're nearing kind of the end, or like a breakthrough period, or really an opportunity to kind of assert yourself in a way. The idea with the Empress being all four queens of the deck, that this might be a time to get a little bit fierce, get a little bit kind of sort of Queen of Swords, Queen of Wands with this person, where you're really illuminating for them in a very direct manner. If you've been very yielding and accommodating, sort of like, this is what I want, this is what I need and expect moving forward, this is what I know I bring to the table. That Queen of Wands with her torch and her illumination there. Are you in this for the long term? Are you in this to kind of create something more? We need to sort of shift how we are acting with one another. This may actually be something that this person may surprisingly respond very well to, a degree of fierceness that it requires on your part. But these energies don't speak to somebody who's going to be very bullheaded about this, or it's kind of like my way or the highway, very ego driven, but it's just needing to sort of turn up the heat a little bit, not be as yielding or accommodating to kind of a back and forth energy with this person, where you're almost being called to sort of set or establish better boundaries, sort of withhold from them rather than being so yielding to kind of, it feels like their moodiness almost. You put up a guard a little bit. You sort of, restrain yourself, redirect your focus towards your own sort of needs and wants in other ways. And it feels like that might be sort of a motivation. This person's almost kind of, you lead and they'll sort of follow in your direction. But let me get some oracle cards to dig a little bit deeper into this for you. Okay, we have intuition and movement, choices, decisions. Yeah, so with all these little doorways here, it's indicating that there are a lot of possibilities still for how this circumstance can unfold. What you are experiencing with this person at this particular point in time, or what has been the case up to now, there definitely is a need to change. Changing your approach changes in some way, or opens the opportunity, because everybody has free will, it opens the opportunity for this person to kind of course correct accordingly. And it feels to be something as well with the idea of the intuition. It's tying into a lot of kind of energetic exchange, a lot that is kind of being read between the lines, which may cause a lot of confusion for you in regards to this person. A lot of telepathy, a lot of energetic exchange. Their energy tells a very different story from their actions and their kind of approach to the situation up to this point in time. And so there's a sense here that before you kind of give up on this situation altogether, there's a need to sort of follow some sort of nudge that you may have received, maybe even just something where you're cultivating more of, again, embodying like all those queens within the Empress energy here. If you've been, very nurturing, very loving, you've been this kind of stable and reliable presence, you've been the Queen of Cups, you've been the Queen of Pentacles, and just trying to be very unflustered and very unbothered, it may be time to kind of get a little more sharp or turn that heat up in a sense. Not that you're argumentative, but almost you're steering them in another direction, that we've done this dance together in this way up to this point in time, but now we're going to have to shift polarities, or we're going to have to go our separate directions. It may also require, kind of with this idea of intuition, that could talk about even directly vocalizing something, where conversations need to happen, where you need to kind of have that line drawn in the sand and really just hold fast to some kind of boundaries. Like, I can't continue to entertain this back and forth dynamic between the two of us, or even opening up and just calling it out very directly, shining that light on the fact of, when things are really good, when we have these great conversations and these good experiences with one another, and then the next day when I talk to you, it's like being greeted by a wall of ice. This is not okay. This is not acceptable. You need to open up more and express and kind of let me know sort of what has shifted, what has changed, because it's very confusing up to this point in time. And it feels like something where it's the idea of kind of giving these options, but then moving into a place of receptivity, of sort of like, enough's enough in this situation as it has been at this point in time, and not necessarily giving up on it entirely, but presenting a new sort of strategy, a new plan, kind of laying that in place for this person, even just energetically, sitting in a different way in your energy and how you relate to them, feels to be something that can be very beneficial in kind of evolving the situation forward. This also ties into the idea as well for me with intuition and kind of the yin yang here, that you may recognize already that you have a soul connection with this person. This can definitely be like a soulmate, a past life, soul connection, something where you fit very well. You have the ability. This has the potential to grow and develop into something very unique, very fulfilling, very stable for the two of you. And it almost feels to be a connection that's kind of, it's built in a roundabout way. You're encountering a lot of these triggers. You're encountering a lot of these kind of shadows within one another. It's possibly even a twin flame dynamic. Although it feels to be that it's not any kind of separation between you and this person. It doesn't feel that it's long-term kind of separation. It may just be people's feelings get hurt, they move in opposite corners, or communication might be kind of sporadic or limited between you. But it definitely feels with that this kind of like Knight of Swords energy, that you're still in communication to some degree with one another. But it's almost sort of, this connection has the potential to develop into so much more, but it also simultaneously, kind of at this stage, both of you are in the process of developing into so much more within yourselves in order to really be able to meet the fullest potential of what's possible between the two of you. So it's really, I'll get another oracle card before I get some initials, but this really does feel to be a sense of don't give up just yet, even with this Ankh right here. There's life still in this connection. There's something that is waiting to be birthed. There's a new layer of this person that is yet to be experienced, or a new level of your dynamic and interaction with one another that, is waiting to kind of be unlocked. But it may require, you taking a different approach to them in this situation, or responding rather differently to, maybe a tendency to be very triggered or guarded, or, not wanting to talk about sort of emotions and feelings, not making their intentions clear. It may require you sort of speaking up, stepping into more of that bold and empowered energy, you being the one to be that spark of life on the next stage that's available between the two of you. And it feels like that will give you a better perception of kind of where this person is at right now in terms of their ability to even give you healthy and reciprocal love. Just because there's potential here, it may be something that they're still needing to work on within themselves. But it's definitely, you hold the key to unlocking a lot more possibility in this situation. It feels like for a lot of you, it'll be very surprising the way they respond to you taking the lead in this circumstance. So we get another oracle card, some final kind of guidance about this. Okay, and we've got Litha, intensification. Yeah, so this is definitely, more of that guidance to continue to hold space for this person. But again, with that idea of intensify, this isn't just sitting passively and continuing status quo with them. There's something that needs to be altered or shifted. There is the possibility to ascend beyond your current experience with one another, the way you define yourselves to one another, the nature of your interactions. Maybe you've just kind of reached a roadblock. You've collided with some wound, something within this person that is then triggering something within you. There's a need to think outside the box a little bit more about it, kind of look at the bigger picture, look at the bigger possibilities, not get so frustrated or deterred, but it's almost just come through a new portal with this person, come from a different angle with this person, adjust your approach. And for a lot of you, that may be sort of, you retreat back in yourself. You're not so giving, you're not so receptive, you're not so available or accommodating to them. You kind of teach them in a different way, almost like mama bear energy here with the Empress. If they get kind of guarded or prickly with their energy, you're not so just sweeping it under the carpet. Or if you were kind of quick to sort of engage in combat exchange of words and things got really heated and then there's like hurt feelings, this may be something where you just kind of, you close the conversation and you move the other way. You sort of retreat into that energy of silence, and then they're just sort of left with that very kind of projective and also defensive energy within themselves, that they need some time to kind of see you from a different angle, that there's a need to kind of pivot in some way, and you hold a lot of power in this particular situation. And it's definitely something where there's the possibility to grow into something more. So it's definitely this idea of don't give up just yet. Hold space for this person, and hold space for the possibility of what this connection can develop into. All is not lost yet. Whatever you're experiencing or whatever difficulties you're facing, this is not all there is to the story. This is not the end of the road between the two of you. You do have the ability to kind of metamorphosize into something else, but it also requires like a personal metamorphosis within. So maybe this is even where you're detaching for a period of time, just to take some time and sit and think within. But with this kind of ultimate purpose of, we're going to move back toward one another. This could even just be, a short break, or where you're a little less available for interacting with this person. That kind of distance, that kind of just lack of consistency in kind of your participation, not full detachment, not full release, but you're just almost redirecting a lot of that attention and energy onto yourself, onto kind of understanding sort of what does this conduct and behavior, what is this stirring up within me, kind of teaching this person about healthy or higher vibrational love by demonstrating that within yourself first and foremost, that this can be something that really kind of pivots and shifts and opens up these different sort of doors and possibilities of what can develop between the two of you moving forward in this connection. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got J, M, T, X, H, B, V, D, A, G, Z, I, V, I, O, L, G, R, and U. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the blue Calcite, along with this card, which says the key. Locked doors can now be open. So to channel some quick introductory energies around this card, this may be a circumstance where there is blocked communication between the two of you. This can be a situation, maybe you blocked them, you're the one that cut off communication. They may have made attempts to come back around, or there's a sense of you feeling something in the air, like they're going to knock on your door any day now. And this may be filling you with a sense of trepidation, sort of like, do I let them in? Have they truly changed? Maybe they have come back around recently, and there's a sense of kind of, if this was right person, wrong time before. There's a questioning here, like, has enough changed? Are the circumstances materially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, psychically, energetically, is all of this kind of cleared up or compatible enough now for the two of us to work? Where there was dissonance or limitation before, is the way clear? Efforts that you may have taken as well to kind of disconnect, clear your energy, learn, evolve, grow, kind of using the experiences with this individual as a key to kind of a greater unfolding of your own sort of healing journey and path, to where, again, there's almost this urge to, or a feeling rather, if they haven't reached out yet, that it's kind of, you've made such progress along your journey and your path. You may be feeling that they're getting ready to come back around. You may have gotten these indicators. It may even be something where, if things were blocked on social media, all of a sudden it's unblocked. That could have happened, and it's kind of like, okay, what's the next step here? Is somebody going to reach out? Is this, where's this going? Or just in the energy, something may feel very different between the two of you. This may also be a circumstance with this idea of the key here, where this connection with this person has pivoted you along a spiritual journey. This person may have activated something like a heart chakra activation, kundalini activation, spiritual awakening, the whole 9 yards for all of that. You may really sort of think of this person as like the yin to your yang. They have the key to your heart, and you hope to really provide the key to theirs as well. This can also tie into something where you kind of feel that there's a higher purpose or mission between you and this person. Maybe you've even taken steps to sort of embark upon that without them at this point in time. But something though within the energy of kind of like, how do I hold on to this? Do I really kind of bring the idea of this person forward with me? Or again, a sense of kind of like, are they going to turn back up? Like your intuition maybe giving you some clue or indicator that change is coming. Maybe it's getting close to kind of, maybe this is somebody who sort of resurfaces once a year in a very kind of regular pattern, very regularly, or, even a little more frequently than that. You're kind of on and then you're off again, and sort of something one can almost calculate by the cycles of the moon. Like, here they are again, it's the full moon, they're going to pop back up in my reality. And so it may be something where, you're nearing one of those milestones, and it's sort of this question of like, are we going to go down this roller coaster again? Are we going to go around this merry-go-round? Or are we finally getting ready to sort of shift? Is there finally going to be a substantial change here? So let's take a look and see what Spirit has to say as far as if you should hold out hope for this person, this connection, evolving beyond the stage that you are at currently, or if it's time to start to let them go. Okay, so we've got the Ace of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Four of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And the Five of Pentacles, so more earth energy here. So this definitely can be a twin flame connection with this Ace of Wands here, something where there's been the activation and the sparking of something more than love and romance, but like a spiritual path that you've been pivoted onto. There's an energy here, this Four of Pentacles, it's bringing to mind like a greedy energy, that there's something to be gained or learned from this connection still. There's still some more mileage in this connection, but it may be with the Five of Pentacles that it's not exactly what you think. It may be something where there's almost a process of healing that it could require, and it's almost with this Four of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles, it's sort of like there's no wrong choice in this situation for you. Whether you decide to hold out hope, there's something to be learned from that. Whether you decide to kind of cut this person off, or if they've come back around and you're not making it easy on them, or you slam the door in their face, or you're non-responsive, or you feel that they're coming back around and you choose to not engage with that, there's also something to learn from that. That you definitely find yourself at a crossroads point, both of which are able to yield a lot of positive growth for the connection as a whole and for the two of you in general. It feels that if you choose to let this person back in, it's kind of with this Five of Pentacles and sort of this greedy energy of the Four of Pentacles. Don't make it easy on them. This is something where they're really going to have to work and to prove themselves. This is something to where you really hold the key, or there's an opportunity here to rewrite the narrative of how you've been experiencing one another at this point in time. And it may be something where they're turning up in the same energy, so it's almost like it requires a rejection in order for them to kind of shift back in your direction pretty rapidly in a changed energy. It's almost somebody who may just test the waters with kind of the same old approach. They're coming in the back door like they have many times before, kind of after hours, sort of slinking in, sneaking in, you know, thinking, okay, are you just going to give me this free access, this free pass, this kind of ability to just sort of walk in and out of your life energetically or literally anytime I choose? And it's almost the idea of the tough approach, holding them to a higher standard here, stands a very good possibility of really kind of whipping them into shape in a very profound manner. That it's almost like they're testing your resolve, it feels like, to see where you are at energetically speaking, and that to really keep your personal boundaries, really kind of honor where you are on your own personal journey, your own personal evolution. It's a sense here of you've increased knowledge of your own value, and that it's very important to hold fast to that, but give this person the opportunity to kind of walk away then with their tail between their legs, not getting their way, not getting so much participation. You know, if even if it's something where like communication was blocked at one point in time and then they've unblocked this, it's almost like don't just leap to reaching out to them. That there's almost some sort of strategy that's required here that makes them kind of step up to the plate. It's forcing them to kind of pull themselves out of like a lower vibrational or almost like an entitled energy in the sense, but that it's possible here. There's still mileage or traction that is available in this situation, but it definitely needs to be something that the power dynamic and struggle needs to be kind of balanced out in another way, or again, there's something really learned from however you choose to approach this with this person. You know, so and that's very interesting, because the other, without giving away too much, the other two groups, group 1 and 2, it was very clear, like you know, if you should hold on or sort of release this person. And I'll get some oracle cards just to dive in a little bit deeper, but at this point it's just kind of no choice is the wrong choice at this particular point. That it definitely, your actions represent a different path forward, but that it's the two of you are kind of linked with one another. Definitely could be a twin flame connection where, you know, maybe one of you is having to explore more of that energy of rejection in the shadow world. You know, the tables are turned. The one who's sort of rejected is now being rejected. You know, the one who felt in that power position is claiming back their personal power, but that it's something that even if those roads are deviating, it's kind of like that's not the end of the story between the two of you. It's just accelerating the next portion of your personal kind of evolutionary journey. So let's see what else, though, you need to know about this. Okay, so we have transformation and new beginnings. So this definitely reinforces the idea of something needing to shift, something needing to change and give, and you definitely holding that key or some kind of an inspiration, something where it's almost like enough is enough. And, you know, maybe if this is kind of where this person's had free access, maybe you're going to go as far as you're blocking things, you're closing that door. You know, you're not participating in the same way with them as you have. And this both launches you onto a transformational journey, a kind of new step and aspect of your own kind of personal healing and ascension process. And it also pivots this person or transforms the way in which they see you and view the connection, which it feels like catalyzes in some manner this latent transformative energy, or more of a balanced energy within themselves that they've been unable to access because everything has remained the same in the situation, or it's been very predictable. That you hold a lot of power in this circumstance to change this situation. And it's definitely possible to kind of, there's a need to break free from some sort of a cycle or a holding pattern, but it's hopeful in the sense that transformation and kind of a a new understanding between the two of you, a new defining and experience of your dynamic is definitely possible. Something that's not even that far down the road. It's not like, okay, you change your approach to this person and possibly your roads will converge with one another again. It's almost like the two of you may have really undergone some sort of transformation in like a time apart, or in kind of a period of like a no contact, for example. And as they're coming back around, it's almost like they may try to approach you first and the energy that they last left you with, and your response in kind of a different way than you had responded before puts them in kind of their proper role, or in this transformed role. It's almost like someone who doesn't know how to approach you is sort of the energy here. Or even if they're, trying the same old kind of tricks and method with you, and you're responding in a very different sense, that this is almost kind of like then when they're, you're still in this sort of back and forth with one another, only this time when they're kind of going to their separate corner, it shakes something, it transforms something within. It's kind of that key or that missing piece that they need to really kind of course correct themselves in a manner to where they're able to begin then their process of growth and balance within, so that they can then cycle back around to you in a changed energy. So it's something that can either kind of have, it doesn't feel like they'd show up in the same sort of lack mentality, and then you're saying to them, no, I'm not interested in kind of entertaining this, or you just ignore it, and then the next day they're like, okay, I see the light, now I'm going to come different. It's a little more of like a long-term strategy here, but it's almost the idea of you're not complete with what you need to experience with this person. And so maybe detachment, or detaching from the way of how you've been relating to them up to this point in time, that's prudent. That's like the best decision. Something needs to pivot and shift. But there's still more to be developed, or to understand, or to experience out of this connection that in some way is tied to like individual journeys and an individual process of transformation. In that is part of the letting go, but it's not like letting go just for yourself as an exercise of self-love, but that it's almost you hold the key to kind of turning the page in some way in this connection, that there's more to this story, but in a different kind of manner from how you've been experiencing one another up to this point in time. So again, it's kind of the idea of you're letting go, but you're holding the space. It's almost like letting go of how you've been showing up, or you've been allowing them to show up. So maybe it's kind of like time for that tough love, for example. They come using the same key, and the lock's been changed, metaphorically or literally speaking. If they have like a key to your house, for example, maybe you move, maybe you make it a little more difficult for them to access you. Something where then it kind of boosts this momentum within them of like, oh wow, okay, I need to transform within. But there's a proactive energy here, again with that kind of greediness of the Four of Pentacles, where there's still a lot of active potential in this situation, but it's almost somebody who may have been kind of used to getting things their way, or used to a status quo, or even used to a version of you, that you need to almost introduce them to who you've become, or who you are on the course to become, but then give them that opportunity to really transform and adjust accordingly. So I'm going to get another oracle card to close this out, and then I'll get some initials. Okay, and we have Magic Circle, Protection. So this definitely ties into the idea of drawing some kind of a line in the sand that says the way in which we have been relating to one another, that has come to its point of completion. But then there's this broader world and experience outside the constraints and the boundaries of almost needing to close out a particular cycle between the two of you. That it may be something that's kind of looping at this particular point in time, and you're needing to sort of step outside of those boundaries in a sense. There may be a fear of kind of, again, like a fear of this person returning, in a sense that maybe you're needing to sort of check in with yourself about that, have your good personal boundaries, but at least hear and feel out what they have to say, because there's almost the idea of there's more to this story. There's more to this equation. There's more to your experience with one another, but it doesn't come as a result of you just yielding and sort of throwing away all the hard work and effort. The point that you are at of personal resolve, of even watching a reading such as this that would ask that question, should I continue to hold space, or is it time to let this connection go? That in and of itself is a declaration of personal sovereignty. And so this really is the message to stick along that path and trajectory, and present that face to this person in whatever sort of mannerisms or words or actions correspond with kind of the sense of personal empowerment, but that it's the idea as well of protection, of there's something kind of like sacred about this situation. There's something more that is kind of being protected or hidden from view at this particular point in time, that it's almost you are kind of stepping into the role as the teacher and they are the student now at this point in the situation. Your actions kind of give them something, some food for thought, some kind of way in which they will understand or value, or just even your rejection of them may activate or trigger some understanding of the sacredness of this situation, to then pivot them onto a journey of growth and possibility. But then it's almost like the two of you are linked in this sense. So it's both the energy of release and letting go, but not closing off to the idea or the understanding that there's more to this connection. There's more to experience. It's almost kind of that tough love of, I love you, but I have to love you from afar. I have to kind of, honor myself first and foremost, but then even with this circle here, where it's not a complete circle, there's kind of like a little opening here. So they're not like totally barred from access. This doesn't mean you sort of give them sort of access to you, or you're just, you're giving a little more of the energy than you feel you would need to. It's almost just kind of like, this is my line in the sand, but with the understanding that as you let this go, you are that catalyst to this person's next phase in evolution. That this is something that they may not expect this response from you. They may be very, almost like Pavlov's dog, the idea of, this experiment where there's a bell that's rung, and this dog comes, and every time the bell is rung, there's a treat. There's a reward, there's a response, and it creates this conditioned response, so that eventually the bell is rung, and it's just, the dog automatically comes without that kind of need for the reward, for the treat. And so it's a need to kind of recondition this person that they may be used to. They approach, you respond in a very predictable manner. They're almost kind of trapped in this instinct now, and so you hold this power to kind of change that scenario. They're doing a certain something, or they're approaching you energetically, or they're coming at you in a particular energy, and you have a lot of power at this particular point in time to kind of lay down some new ground rules, restructure the situation in a certain manner to where their conditioned response to interacting with you is forced to then change. They're forced to kind of be very discombobulated in what they may have been conditioned to, almost like a certain dynamic between the two of you. So it's something that needs to end here, but with the understanding that it's like the closing out of a chapter, so a bigger part of this journey or story can begin. So definitely this guidance to not like totally shut the door on this person or the possibility of what happens in the future, that it really remains to be seen, but that there is something that needs to take place here in terms of how you are relating to them. Maybe if this is even just something where, these waves of energy that they send towards you, if it's still kind of radio silence in the material world, this can tie into a different kind of reaction to that energy, where you're not so yielding. You're not just giving into those loving vibrations, that you almost like protect your energy, or you return that to them. You reject that. They don't get that same energetic response. They're not able to feed in the same way, which can definitely then result in, with this idea of even a pentacle here, some step that they have to then take in the material world. They can't just sort of send out their feelers energetically. They can't just reach across the ether with telepathy. They have to do something in the material world. So it's something to let go of, with the idea of, when I release this, something more or something different or something substantial then has the ability, or at least kind of the open door policy to be presented at this point in time. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got U, W, W, K, X, G, E, R, R, Z, I, F, A, V, E, M, J, S, L, A, and Y. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.